Now, please welcome Brother Philip Gardner as he introduces our speaker for this morning, Brother Delano D.E. Whitfield. Brother Gardner, please welcome him.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and esteemed guests. Allow me to introduce Mr. Delano D.E. Whitfield, a standout individual from South Carolina State University. As the reigning 10th Mr. South Carolina State University and a senior, Mr. Whitfield is a force of inspiration on the campus. Coming from the esteemed halls of SC State, Mr. Whitfield proudly declares attending the university as an honor. Academically, Mr. Whitfield, an Emily E. Clyburn Honors Scholar, maintains an impressive 3.5 GPA. He is not just a student, but a multifaceted individual, a spoken word artist, a motivational speaker, a model, and a scholar. Engaging actively in the Beta Delta chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, seated at SC State, and contributing to the NCAACP's SC State chapter, he is also dedicated to community service. Beyond the campus, Mr. Whitfield impact extends nationwide with oracle presentations and performances for various dignitaries. Grounded in faith, he credits his trust in God and his prayer for his resilience. He aspires to become an attorney, a worldwide motivational speaker, and an entrepreneur. Mr. Whitfield commits to a life dedicated to serving the community and making philanthropic contributions. In Mr. Whitfield, we find not just a student leader, but a beacon of inspiration. Let us celebrate his achievements and look forward to the continued positive impact he will undoubtedly make. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Bulldog Pride himself and our great brother of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Mr. Delano D.E. Whitfield.
Good morning, beautiful people.
Good morning.
You guys are decked out today. The colors are shining, the vibrant singing. I am blessed to be here because this is something to see. I will definitely tell you that it is so interesting to have your chief dean and your ADV at one point introduce you. That is something very unique for me, and I guess they felt so good today that they wanted to bless me, so I'm thankful. I'm also blessed and honored to be here in the presence of so many great brothers, and I'm more honored to be here to commemorate the life and legacy of our fraternal brother, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who is beyond futuristic, talented, detailed, and most importantly, years before his time, and he had an amazing, amazing vision. Last night I was looking over my speech in my hotel room, honest, and I said I like this speech, but as pastors sometimes say, God took me another direction. As I said, I was selling Dr. King short by simply giving a rendition of I Have a Dream or I've Been to the Mountaintop, which we all have heard a plethora of times. We're so accustomed to hearing Dr. King with a certain tone, voice projection, and all-around powerful spirit that we tend to forget the man who had feelings, regular day-to-day issues, emotions, and through his life experiences at such a young age, may I note, the ability to control oneself by exemplifying his greatest attribute, peace. It is a sense of discipline, focus, and self-awareness that lines up with his blueprint on how to live, educate, and finally mentor. You look at this man's life, and by the time he was my age, at the young tender age of 23, he had a bachelor's, a master's in theology, and was working on a doctorate degree from Boston University at the time, while I'm sitting here just trying to get a bachelor's degree in May. So, I'm sitting there like, what am I doing wrong? I need to add something up. But nonetheless, I look at and note these things to highlight something important. The man had a true purpose, and when you know exactly what you are trying to achieve, you're so unbelievably eager to learn and achieve it. You have mastered self to the point you're well beyond your years and can teach others. This man had a life's blueprint that was so extraordinary and well put together that he taught others blindfolded and gave messages like he was physically an encyclopedia. As I noted earlier that I'm graduating in May, I've constantly got the questions. Last year, and especially this winter break, Delano, you got 4 months left. What's next? Are you working, going to grad school, content creating? Do you know your plans? You have an apartment? And, the question to me, it made me lean back and say, what is your next move? Because I'm still eating ramen noodles in the room. And as I sat back and put the food down and meditated on the purpose and organizing a blueprint to execute and be in complete control over Delano Derek Whitfield, not Mr. South Carolina State, not Thurgood Marshall Ambassador, not Delano even the Alpha. No, just Delano. This brings me to a change made at 11:15 last night. And it touched me so much, it's now my new favorite Dr. King speech that we hardly ever hear about at a high school in Philadelphia in 1967, entitled, What is in Your Life's Blueprint? Join me and be with me in the next moments. I want to ask you a question, and that is, what is in your life's blueprint? This is the most important and crucial period of your lives. For what you do now and what you decide now at this age may well determine which way your life shall go. And whenever a building is constructed, you usually have an architect who draws a blueprint. And that blueprint serves as the pattern, as the guide and the model for those who are to build the building. And a building is not well erected without a good, sound, and solid blueprint. Now, each of you is in the process of building the structure of your lives. And the question is whether you have a proper, solid, and sound blueprint. And I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one, in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodiness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth, and always feel that your life has ultimate significance. Now that means you should not be ashamed of your color. It's very unfortunate that in so many instances our society has placed the stigma on the Negro's color. There are some Negroes who are ashamed of themselves. Don't be ashamed of your color. Don't be ashamed of your biological features. Somehow you must be able to say in your own lives and really believe it. I am black, and as I first started with, I am beautiful. And believe that in your heart, and therefore you need to be lured into purchasing cosmetics advertised to make you lighter. Neither do you need to process your hair to make it appear straight. I have good hair, and it is as good as anybody else's in the world. And we've got to believe that. Now, in your life's blueprint, be sure that you have a principle of somebodiness. Number two. Secondly, in your life's blueprint, you must have the basic principle, the determination to achieve excellence in your various fields of endeavors. You're going to decide as the days and the years unfold what you will do in your life, what your life's work will be. And once you decide what it will be, set out to do it and do it well. And as I say to you, my young friends, that doors are opening to each of you, doors of opportunity are opening to each of you that were not open to your mother and your fathers, and the great challenge facing you is to be ready to enter those doors as they open. Ralph Waldo Emerson, the great essayist, said in a lecture back in 1871 that if a man can write a better book or preach a better sermon or make a better mousetrap than his neighbor, even if he builds his house in the woods, the world will make a beacon path to his door. This hadn't always been true, but it will become increasingly true. And so I urge you to study hard, to burn the midnight oil, as we say. I would say to you, don't drop out of school. And I understand all the psychological reasons why we often drop out of school. But I urge you, in spite of your economic plight, in spite of the situation that you're forced to, live so often with intolerable conditions, stay in school. And when you discover what you're going to be in your life, set out to do it as if God Almighty called you at this particular moment in history to do it. And just don't set out to do a good Negro job. Do a good job that anybody can do. Don't set out to just be a good Negro doctor, a good Negro lawyer, a good Negro school teacher, a good Negro preacher, a good Negro barber, a beautician, a good Negro skilled laborer. For if you set out to do it, you have already flunked your matriculation exam for entrance into the University of Integration. Set out to do a good job and do that job so well that living the dead and the unborn couldn't do it any better. If it falls to your lot to be a street sweeper, sweep streets like Michelangelo paints pictures. Sweep streets like Beethoven composed music. Sweep streets like Leontine Price sings before the Metropolitan Opera. And sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Sweep streets so well that all the host of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well. If you can't be a pine on the top of the hill, be a scrub in the valley, but be the best little scrub on the side of the hill. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be a sun, be a star. For it isn't the size that you win or you fail, but be the best of whatever you are. We already have some noble examples of black men and black women who demonstrated to us that human nature cannot be cataloged. They in their own lives have walked through long and desolate nights of oppression, yet they've risen up and plunged against cloud-filled nights of affliction, new and blazing stars of inspiration. And so from an old slave cabin of Virginia's hills, Booker T. Washington rose up to be one of America's greatest leaders. He lit a torch in Alabama, and darkness fled in that setting. Yes, you should know this because it is in your city, from a poverty and stricken area of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Marian Anderson rose up to be the world's greatest contralto, so that a Tuscanini could say that a voice like this comes only once in a century, and a Sibelius of Finland could say my roof is too low for such a voice. From the hills of Gordon County, Georgia, in the arms of a mother who can neither read nor write, Roland Hayes rose up to be of the world's great singers and carried his melodious voice into the palaces and mansions of kings and queens. From crippling circumstances, there came a George Washington Carver to carve for himself an imperishable niche in the annals of science. There was a star in the diplomatic sky, and then came Ralph Bunche, the grandson of a slave preacher, and he reached up and grabbed it and allowed it to shine in his light with all of its scintillating beauty. There was a star in the athletic sky. And then came Jackie Robinson in his day and Willie Mays in his day with their powerful bats and their calm spirits. Then came Jesse Owens, 06, with his fleet and dashing fleet. Then came Joe Louis and Muhammad Ali with their agitated fist. All of them came to tell us that we can be somebody and to justify the conviction of the poet. Fleecy locks, black complexion cannot forfeit nature's claim. Skin may differ, but affection dwells in black and white the same. And if I were so tall as to reach the pole and to grasp the ocean at a span, I must be measured by my soul, and the mind is a standard of a man. Number 3. And finally, in your life's blueprint must be a commitment to the eternal principles of beauty, love, and justice. Don't allow anybody to pull you so low as to make you hate them. I'm going to repeat that again. Don't allow anybody to pull you so low to make you hate them. Don't allow anybody to cause you to lose your self-respect to the point that you do not struggle for justice. However young you are, you have a responsibility to seek make your nation a better nation in which to live. You have a responsibility to seek make life better for everybody, and so you must be involved in the struggle for freedom and justice. Now, in this struggle for freedom and justice, there are many constructive things that we all can do, that we all must do. And we must not give ourselves those things which will not solve our problems. You've heard the word nonviolent, and you've heard the word violent. I happen to believe in nonviolence. We've struggled with this method with young people and adults alike all over the South, and we have won some significant victories, and we got to struggle with it all over the North because the problems are as serious in the North as they are in the South. But I believe as we struggle with these problems, we've got to struggle with them with a method that can be militant, but at the same time does not destroy life or property. And so our slogan must not be burn, baby, burn. It must be build, baby, build. Organize, baby, organize. Yes, our slogan must be learn, baby, learn, so that we can earn, baby, earn. And with a powerful commitment, I believe that we can transform dark yesterdays of injustice into bright tomorrow of justice and humanity. Let us keep going toward the goal of selfhood, toward the realization of dream of brotherhood, and toward the realization of the dream of understanding and goodwill. Let nobody stop us. And I'll close by quoting once more the man that the young lady quoted, that magnificent black bard who is now passed on, Langston Hughes. One day he wrote a poem entitled Mother to Son. The mother didn't always have her grammar right, but she uttered words of great symbolic profundity. Well, son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It had tacks in it and boards torn up and places with no carpet on the floor, bare. But all the time, eyes have been climbing and reaching landings and turning corners, and sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. So boy, don't you turn back. Don't you sit down on the steps, because you find it's kind of hard. Don't you fall now, for I's still going, honey. I's still climbing. And life for me ain't been no crystal stair. Well, life for none of us has been a crystal stair. But we must keep moving. We must keep going. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, man, I tell you, crawl. But by all means, and I say all means, keep on moving.